And little Johnson looked up, and tears were streaming down his 18-year-old cheeks. I'll never forget it. I looked down at him, and he said, Jack, I said, what's the trouble, Johnson? That's a dumb question. What's the trouble? And he said, Jack, I'll make you a deal. I said, what's that? He said, I'll quit if you will. There have been the offers in my life, but that excelleth them all. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying those were the things we talked about. We talked about the tough time. I'm going to tell you something. When you get older, the things that look like valleys while you were enduring them, look at me, young people, look at me. The things that look like valleys when you're enduring them will look from the other side like mountain peaks. And the valley of Achor becomes a door of hope. I'm saying enjoy your troubles while you can. Young people, enjoy, young married couples, enjoy that old car. Dr. Rice used to say, you got to push up the hill so you can push it down the hill, so you can get it started, so you can push it back up the hill, so you can push it back down the hill again. I'm saying you enjoy. Listen, you get old one of these days, you're not going to talk about that new car you bought. Erlene, she's not here. Mother's sick. But we had Erlene, when she was a kid, Dad got her an old Essex car, E-S-S-E-X. How many ever saw an Essex car? And so Erlene had a bunch of girls she ran around with, and they called it the Essex Gang because they rode the Essex car. Now they didn't have car inspection back in those days. You could drive, and if you didn't have a driver's license, okay, get one when you can. And that old, you won't believe this. I don't care if you believe it or not, but it's true. You won't believe it. That old Essex car had the steering wheel wouldn't turn the wheels enough to turn the corner. Now it'd turn them a little bit, but not enough to turn the corner. It'd turn them enough if you were driving down the street. You could make it. You could stay right of the center line if you wanted to stay right of the center line. Or you could turn left to keep out of the ditch, but when you came to a corner, it would just turn the wheels about like that. And it wouldn't turn enough. So the Essex gang would have to get out of the car, and they'd have to turn the wheels of the car enough so it would turn the corner. And then, of course, they had people sitting in the car and in the rumble seat. I'm telling my age now. And the rumble seat was in the back of the car, and it opened up the opposite way. The trunk opens up like that, rumble seat like that, and made a seat in the back of the car outside, sort of like convertible in the back. And folks in the rumble seat and the old Essex would try to turn it. And Erlene would get out, and they'd turn the wheels manually, and then they'd put the thing around the corner, and then had to turn the wheels back so they go straight down the road, And now look. Erlene has had many a car. I have never heard Erlene say one word about the Cutlass Oldsmobile she drives now. Never a word. I have never heard her brag on one single car, but I've heard her time and time again talk about the old Essex gang. And I've heard Erlene and let's see, Margaret, oh boy, what? Stay out of this. Margaret Coulter, and Liz Taylor. Liz. I forgot. But anyway, I've heard Erlene that they get together and they have more fun. Why, they say, hey, remember that old car? Yeah. What was that? Essex car. Yeah, remember the old Essex? Yeah. They never talk about the nice new car they got later on. Never talk about, why? I'll tell you what, you better thank God for the troubles you're enduring now. For in years to come, the valley of Achor will become a door of hope, and the greatest days of your life are where you have to trust the Lord for His goodness. So enjoy that little apartment you have, and enjoy the dirty diapers while the child is young, and enjoy the handprints on the towels while you can, and enjoy the laundromat while you have it, and enjoy the washing dishes before you get the dishwasher, and enjoy the hand-me-downs before you can buy your own new clothes, and enjoy the praying for miracles, and enjoy the praying for tuition, and enjoy the trusting God in an unusual way. I'm saying, listen, the recession gives us so many opportunities we didn't have during prosperity. We have a chance to prove whether or not Philippians 4:19 is true or not. We have a chance to prove whether Matthew 6:33 is really true or not. We have a chance to prove whether God can supply our needs or not. We have a chance to prove whether God does hear our prayers or not. And I'm saying tonight, we ought not to shrink from tough times. We ought to thank God for tough times. Enjoy them while you can, because in the pages of your memories, in the scrapbook of yesteryears, you will thank God 10,000 times for the rough time. You've often heard me say this. I enrolled in Hyles Enjoy College. We got there and landed Marshall, Texas. All in the world I had in this world was a wife, a black cat, and $40. That's all I had. Spent the $40, ate the black cat, didn't have a single thing after that. Not a single thing. Nothing. I went up to the courthouse square in Marshall, Texas without a dime. Not a job. I'd paid $37.50 of that $40 for the rent, bought $2.50 for the groceries, and when I enrolled in East Texas Baptist College in Marshall, Texas, in 19 bleep bleep, I did not have one single dime. They said we want you to matriculate over here, and I didn't know what matriculate meant, and I didn't know what to do over there, but I didn't know what it meant. But I didn't have one dime. But that afternoon, went up on the courthouse square in Marshall, Texas, and got on my knees, looked up to the God of heaven, with my Bible open, on my knees on the steps of the courthouse square, and I said, dear God, you sent me to East Texas Baptist College, and dear God, I've got to have a job, and I claim one down. I've got to have it. Let me tell you something. If you cannot make it through college, and you cannot make it through these tough days, pray tell me, what are you going to preach when you get out in the field, some of you preacher boys? I've just got to go home, work, see if I can drop out. You going to tell your folks to drop out when you pastor a church? You going to tell your folks to turn back when you pastor a church? I want to tell you something and serve notice on you that the best thing ever happens to you is having to have it tough while you're in school and tough while you're young and prove there's a living God. Doesn't the Lord say, prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts, see if I won't open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not room enough to receive it. God is still God, and the Bible is still true, and the promises of God are still valid, and you don't have to do anything but prove that God can take care of you. Be not dismayed, whatever betide, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide. God will take care of you. God will take care of you. Through every day or all the way, God will take care of you. God will take care of you. And you look back on these days. By the way, as you heard me say, many of you old-timers, many times, I said, dear Lord, I got to have a job. I pointed to J.C. Penney Company down on Washington Street in Marshall, Texas, and said, dear God, I've got to have a job now. And I claimed a job at J.C. Penney Company. Had my Bible open to Jeremiah chapter 33 and verse 3. I walked down the street, Washington Street, Main Street in Marshall, and the Bible opened to Jeremiah 33:3. And just like this, I walked in J.C. Penney Company. A big old heavy-set man named Mr. Croft, a white-haired man, manager of the company, came and said, what can I do for you, sir? And I said, sir, I think I'm going to work here. He said to me, what in the world are you talking about? And he said, I just laid off 4 men in the men's department. It's summertime. I enrolled in summer school. It's summertime. Just laid off 4 men. I said, but sir, God wants me to go to work here. And I wasn't being presumptuous or cocky. My preacher had told me about Jeremiah 33:3 before I left to go to college. And I said, sir, I haven't got a dime. But I'll guarantee you one thing. I'll make you a good salesman. I'll tell you, I'll sell the clothes in the men's department for you, or I'll treat the place out. Anything that you want or need done, I'll guarantee you, you'll have a worker in me. And I said, I just got on my knees on the courthouse square and prayed for God to give me a job. I pointed to J.C. Penney Company and claimed the job here. And I said, Mr. Croft, right here in Jeremiah 33:3, you can read it for yourself. It says, call unto me, and I'll answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things that thou knowest not. Mr. Croft looked at me and shook his head and scratched it, and he said, young man, you're hired. Now, I'll never forget what he said. He said, you'll either be the greatest salesman in the history of this store, or the biggest flop in the history of Harrison County. And I'd die if I didn't find out which one. By the way, I want to say this too. I did sell more clothing working from 12 noon until 5 in the afternoon, 5 hours a day, than any salesman ever sold in the history of that J.C. Penney store. You say, why? Because I believe in work. Man, I didn't. They said to me, when a fella comes in the door, meet him, ask him what you can help him. I didn't wait till he got in the door. They were outside looking in the window. I went outside. I said, boy, ain't that pretty. I can suit you in that one mighty cheap. Boy, that look good with your complexion. That look good on you. That suit was made for you. God's in this thing.